All right, welcome everyone to the 14th PMI question answer session. So today we will be talking about virtual teams. So let me just share my screen. All right, so today we will be discussing question number 131 to 140. The topic is virtual teams. So again, 60 seconds. After 60 seconds, you will be answering directly to me, not to everyone, just to make sure that you don't influence others. So let's start with question number 131st. Your time starts now. All right, I can see a lot of different options. Remember, we talked about communications management plan. And in communications management plan, we talked about different communication styles. So most of you have answered C. So if we need to use a uniform communication style, then there is no need of communications management plan and looking for communication requirements for stakeholders, doing the communication needs assessment. So we don't have uniform communication style for the stakeholders or the team members. Communication styles vary, and especially if you're working with virtual teams, who belong to different cultures, different languages. So we cannot do that, right? So option C is incorrect. You can try for one more time. Maybe you'll find the right answer. So whenever you try to solve the question, look at the problem. So what is the problem in this question that you want to address? Anyone, please. Try. What is the
So
problem?
the problem is that they're from various cultural backgrounds, right?
Mhm.
Is that correct? They're from various backgrounds,
So
cultural wise.
yes, this is one
And
of the
then
things. Mhm.
and then we want to minimize the biases in this environment. So we want to take
Perfect.
everybody in concentration, right?
Yes. So we want to minimize biases. So bias means you don't want to favor one community or one type of groups over others, right? So you want to treat everybody fairly. So if you look at this, it says to promote inclusivity and minimize biases. So how we can minimize biases? So let's talk about option number one. Regularly rotating meeting times to accommodate different time zones. So this is, yes, we can consider this as an option, like you are including everybody, right? By giving opportunity to all the participants by respecting their time zones. Then focusing on the people skills of team member rather than technical skills. No, we don't do that. We focus on both. So it's not like that we just focus on people skill and we ignore technical skills. So you can easily eliminate this option. Option C, implementing a uniform communication style. We do not implement uniform communication style. Communication style can vary depending upon culture, countries, nations, and geographic priorities. Next, organize frequent in-person meetups. We can't organize frequent in-person meetups for virtual teams, right? These are not in-person teams. So A is the correct answer, right? So most of the time we just quickly go for the option that attracts us in terms of, for example, implementing a uniform communication style, but we can't do that. try to identify the problem in the question and then find the answer, and also try to use elimination technique as well. Even if you know the answer, try to do that. Okay. So let's
But
read.
Ahmad, I have a question. So it doesn't say that these people were in different places. It just said they're from different background. So how do you assume that they're in different countries or from the various different countries? It's just saying that they're from different culture, but it could be in the same place, no?
Okay, so it says you are leading a virtual team for an international software development project.
I see. International, I
International
guess.
means they are from different backgrounds, different countries. A lot of countries may be involved, right? So the team comprises members from various cultural backgrounds, even if it says cultural backgrounds, right? So still, you need to accommodate them. But yes, your point is right, but it is written international software development project. All right, let's read the explanation, then we'll move to next question. All right, next question. All right, so I can see different answers. So, Sergio, you have chosen option B. Why?
Yeah. The question states that the expertise is an important factor to this situation. So all other answers just they're valid, but not for this situation, in my opinion.
Okay, right. So you're saying the question says the project requires diversity in skill set or expertise. So option B is the right answer. Okay. Sana, you have chosen option B. Why?
Yeah, because the question states that they require people with diverse experiences and they are dispersed across different time zones. So by organizing a virtual team setup, obviously it will enable them to leverage those skill sets into one meeting. So that's why I chose B. That resonated with my understanding.
All right. The question statement is simple and straight, and it has the word diverse that gives you an hint, like it's looking for diverse expertise. Even if doesn't say diverse expertise, still option B is correct because that is the primary purpose of virtual teams. Virtual teams are not made just to minimize cost or for a work-life balance or flexibility. The primary purpose of virtual team is to have diversity in skill set. If you're not able to find skill set in your local vicinity, you go for online resources or remote resources, right? So B is correct. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Troy, you have chosen option C. Why?
I went with option C, because it seems to match up with the question in general that you want rapid iteration and continued, and that C kind of nailed it down by saying that because you have global time zones, that there's constant movement and forward push in the iterations, which would get that rapid movement that it's stated in the question. That's why I went with that one.
All right. Lela, you have chosen option C. Why?
Yeah, for the same reason that it says in the answer that utilize global time zones for differences. So since this is like a team is globally software development, so I thought that would be the proper answer for that. As the other ones, I kind of crossed that out.
All right. So the problem in the question is team wants to explore strategies to optimize the development for rapid development or rapid iteration. So in order to do that, we can leverage virtual teams because they are available 24/7. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Felicity, you have chosen option B. Why?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I chose B because I think that teamwork begins and ends with communication effectively. And so in terms of the question of being your first course of action, I would want to check if there are any gaps in communication, because even if I'm trying to align everyone to the strategic goals, if there's still gaps in communication, that strategic alignment either won't effectively happen or it'll quickly fall apart again.
All right. So you're saying even if the problem is misalignment, the first thing you need to do is to analyze if there are any communication gap.
Yes, because in my mind, I think that's what causes a lot of misalignment.
Okay. Right. Chinimis, you have chosen option C. Why?
Yeah, just because I looked at the problem. The problem here is that people are working in silos, and that those efforts do not effectively converge on the project's team milestones. So I think focusing on the strategic alignment and making sure everybody understands what the objectives are will be a first place to start. That's what I just see.
All right. Now, that's a very good point, and that was the purpose of adding this option in the question. So it's like, for example, if I say, let's suppose team members, they don't have training opportunities, let's suppose. And you say the answer is provide them training opportunities. Problem is they are not strategically aligned. Answer is align them strategically. This is so simple answer, right? So for example, you say this is the problem, provide that. Problem is A, okay, solve that problem. You need to find out the underlying reasons, or you need to do the root cause analysis. Whenever you see a problem, rather than simply saying, okay, solve this problem. So Chinamis has identified the problem, like problem is strategic alignment. Okay, let's align them strategically. But how? What is the action? So we should look for actions rather than just simply saying, okay, solve this problem. So option C is just rephrasing of the problem. Like, okay, this is the problem. Okay, solve the problem. But how? So as Felicity mentioned, the fundamental problem or root cause is communication breakdown. We need to address that. We need to analyze that, and then we should move forward, right? So correct answer is option B. Sana, why you have chosen option C?
Yeah, again, I was confused because the moment I read the question, then the first thing was that this was the option that resonated with me. So
And if you look at the question, it says, you believe there is a lack of effective cross-functional collaboration,
yeah,
leading to isolated efforts. So rather than focusing on the outcome, focus on the problem.
first
The
step. Yeah.
problem is clearly written in the question statement. So there's a lack of effective cross-functional collaboration. So if this is the problem, do an in-depth analysis like why this is the problem. So if we read the question carefully, problem is listed there. Sergio, you have chosen option D. Why?
Uh, I realize that's the wrong answer now. Why I tried to go directly to one of the next phases and to solve the problem, but I should first find exactly what is the problem after
Yeah.
that. Solve it.
You can go for solutions once you understand the problem clearly. Once you do the in-depth analysis, root cause analysis, then you go for the solution. Same as the problem with the first option. Conduct an in-depth analysis, that is correct. But to shift performance matrix from individual to team, we don't know what would be the outcome of in-depth analysis. So accordingly, we will see what we will be doing that. So option A is incorrect because we are focusing on solution directly rather than understanding the problem. All right, let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Yusuf, you have chosen option C. Why?
Yeah, I'm seeing it the most reasonable one because this is lead to customization of the needs of the project. So it's not something this is a project study. It's more than the other technique. Other technique is like very general, but this is more specific to the project. That's why I selected this.
All right. So you're saying like we should develop something that caters to the needs of each team member. So we need separate systems for each team member.
Not separate. You tailor the things according to your needs. You don't implement. You don't work because that is needed from you.
All right.
Specifically. Okay.
All right. Okay. Troy, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I went with B mainly because it said which approach would be most suitable for providing accurate and timely insights. So just to get down to the source where they're decentralized, so each regional group is compiling the data and reporting it up, so then it can be accurate for assessment. That's really why I went with that one. It just made the most sense to me.
All right, Sergio, you have chosen option D. Sorry, Vamshi has chosen option D. Vamshi, why?
Because the question itself was asking for an approach as a like a manager, right? Like that is the reason I just went for the D, so that timely manner we can able to get a because approach can able to change.
Okay, right. Time study analysis is different thing. Time study analysis is like watching each and everything what an employee is doing. That is time study analysis, which is not possible, especially for virtual teams.
Okay,
We
got it.
don't do that, right? Especially the labor intensive industries where we want to monitor labor's movements, how much time they spend, where focus is efficiency and strong control and micromanagement. In those industries, time study analysis are conducted. So it's actually watching each and every movement, how much time an employee is spending on a particular task, then recording that, how much time they are wasting. So to optimize the process, we go for time study analysis. So option D can easily be eliminated. Right? So I can see option C as well. Jashri, you have chosen option C. Why?
Yeah, that is more specific to the question.
All
That
right.
is the, yeah.
Now let's read the question once again, and then we'll try to find out the answer. So you're managing a complex project involving a virtual team spread across different geographic locations to ensure effective project monitoring and control while accommodating the unique aspects of remote collaboration. Which approach would be more suitable for providing accurate and timely insights? So there are two things in the question. One, accurate and timely insight. You need timely insight, number one. And number two thing, if you go a little above, it says to ensure effective project monitoring and control while accommodating the unique aspects of remote collaboration. So remote collaboration, one of the problem in remote collaboration when people are working in different time zones, the only problem is that having people together at one point in time. That's the problem. Because if they are from different time zones, it's not easy to have them together at one point in time. So if we look at the option, it's first option, implement an automated project tracking system equipped with analytics for instant performance data. Now, we need to address like if we are able to solve this problem or not. So our option A is solving the problem or not. So in option A, we are having an automated dashboard where anyone can update their performance anytime without consideration of time zone. And it is instant. If we look at option B, create a decentralized reporting structure where regional team leads oversee local. Is it solving timely monitoring mechanism problem? No. If we look at C, perform a needs assessment to develop a tailored monitoring system that caters to each team member's requirement, we cannot do that. We cannot cater to the each team member's requirements, right? So what we need to do, we need to have a centralized system where data is coming in, where we are analyzing. We cannot do that. Like if we have 20 team members, we cannot cater to the needs of all 20 team members. It would make monitoring more complex. So we need something centralized. We need something that standardizes things. So agile does not mean like let each team member do whatever they want to do. There should be some kind of standardization, right? Yes, it asks for decentralization, self-organization, but it should have some sort of structure as well. So if you look at the problem is timely insight, accurate insight, while taking care of different time zones. So correct answer is option A. Let's read the explanation, then I'll take your comments. All right, Rahul, do you have a question? Rahul, you're not audible. Okay, anyone with a question regarding this statement or concept? Okay, so again, try to understand the problem in the question. The problem is accurate and timely insight. So correct answer is option A. Let's move to next question. All right, Felicity, you have chosen option D. Why?
I don't actually know if it's reasonable, to be honest. It's one problem with these questions is they're not in the real world. But it seems like the most basic answer, I guess, if people don't speak the language, then giving them translation assistance kind of stands out as being a quick answer, if you will. Especially with the AI technology that's available now, you could probably do in-meeting translations and things. If I was actually project managing something like this, I'd probably aim more for B with the smaller meetings, but that's just because I'm a smaller meeting person.
Yeah, that's correct. But there's a problem with smaller group-based meetings. So what will you do when you have when you need input from all the team members and when you need something or in a meeting where everybody's presence is mandatory, when you want to give directions to team member, when you want everybody to be involved in the process. So it works for some tasks, but not all the tasks. So yes, smaller groups could be an option, but it doesn't work all the time. Okay. Lala, you have chosen option A. Why?
I think it's because if you set up like some kind of a rule or protocol that everybody in a meeting, they should take a turn on every meeting, they should speak up, I guess. I thought that would be the right answer.
That's a great suggestion. Let's implement here in this session first. Like everybody
Yeah,
will
like
speak once, right?
yeah, like if people who don't participate, what are you gonna do? You just have to set up some kind of like rules saying that, I don't know. I thought
Okay, right. So we don't do that, right? If people are not comfortable, we can't force anything, as Arti mentioned. Like we can request, we can make a conducive work environment, we can facilitate, but we cannot make such rule like everybody should turn on their camera, everybody should speak, everybody should participate, because different people have different dynamics, and it says they are from diverse cultural backgrounds and they are hesitant, right? Uh, you notice that during virtual meetings, some team members are hesitant to participate. And I think we discussed a similar question in personality test as well, where some people were introvert. So we didn't try to change their nature. We provided them the conducive environment. We asked them, okay, write down your ideas before meeting, share with everybody so that your ideas could be taken into consideration. So rather than forcing people to speak, look for other ways where you can get their opinion, right? Okay, so any other option? Okay, Yusuf, you have chosen option C. Why?
Because deciding on the communication channels, communication protocols is mandatory in the project. So there should be a plan for that. So this is, I think, it's matching this criteria from my side. So communication plan is part of the project management tools.
All right, correct. Communication plan is part of the process, but within communication plans, you have chosen option C because this could solve the problem. So the problem is people have some cultural barriers and language problem. They are hesitant to participate, so we can facilitate them by encouraging to have pre-meeting inputs in written format or in any other format that could be helpful. Let's read the explanation. All right. I hope it is clear. So whenever you see a problem, try to find the best possible option that could solve the problem. Look for a solution, like how we can solve the problem, right? So the best option in this situation is option C. Let's move to next question. All right, Fahad, why you have chosen option B?
I feel this is a repetition of an earlier question, but since they're spread out and we're looking for we're looking to ensure timely reporting, so an automated system that has integrated tracking would be useful.
All right, thank you. Yusuf, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, because the team in agility or even like these different time zones, the team, all of them to be together, this is the most important thing. It's not to have different decision at different time because the perception will be different. So part of the rules for agility to have all the team members for the stand up as much as possible. So if they are not there, like half of them out, so there's no use of that meeting. You cannot just retrograde, speak about what happened inside the meeting. So that's why I selected this one. Having other options, I feel it's breaching the agility principle and even the teamwork as a whole.
All right. Troy, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, I chose option A because in the question, the big thing is to improve collaboration, and to collaborate, you need to bring people together. Option A looked like that was the best answer to do that, and where you can be convenient for the majority of the team members and schedule meetings. So I saw it as that I don't really want to reduce the number of meetings if I'm looking to improve collaboration. And and that's why I didn't go with the online tool, because it's independently. So just trying to, that's where I was focused on the question. That's why I chose A.
All right. So, for example, let's suppose you're part of a team and total team members are 8. So the time that you have chosen suits to 6 of the members, and 2 team members are not able to participate during that time. Is it okay? to have weekly meetings excluding 2 team members?
I mean, no, you don't want to exclude 2 team members, but if it's the best option. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, it's dependent. Is there a time that works for everybody? Then you would look for that time, but it says for the majority of the team members.
Yeah.
Mm.
So 6 is majority. Majority is more than 50%. So even
Right.
5 is a majority. So 3 are excluded, or 2 are excluded, or even 1 is excluded. So the right answer in this situation, if we ignore the options, is to have meetings on different times. You can change the time zone to accommodate everybody, right? So for example, today meeting is at 9 p.m. EST, then you can accommodate other time zones. You can rotate it. But excluding somebody is not an option. That's not the appropriate option, and especially for forever, like schedule weekly meetings at a time that is convenient for the majority of the team members. Right? And it's not just about collaboration. If you look at the second part, it says ensure timely reporting, right? So timely reporting is also part of that. So again, it's a repetition of the previous question, but it's rephrased differently just to help you understand exclusion is not an answer. Whenever you see a similar question in the exam where even one team member is being excluded, you need to reconsider that option and find out an option that is more inclusive rather than excluding anybody, right? So correct answer is, again, B, have an automated dashboard or system or tool where people can report independently without requiring simultaneous presence. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Fahad, you have chosen option D. Why?
Okay, so we have one participant who is having difficulty attending the meeting since it falls at midnight. And since exclusion is not an option for us, so we cannot select D, which says that except that it's okay if one team member cannot join the meeting. I feel seeking input, floating the agenda ahead of time and seeking their input would sort of serve the purpose of the meeting.
All right. Again, most of you well into trap. Like the problem is they're not able to agree on a time where all participants are present. And answer that you have chosen is make them agreed. So this is a very simplified explanation for everyone, like those who have chosen C option, reschedule the meeting to a time that is mutually agreeable. They have already agreed. All team members have agreed to a specific time except one. They have already done that. They have done that, still they are not able to solve the problem. So there is no point of doing same thing again. You understand? Team members have agreed on a specific time, but except one, now how would you be handling the situation? So you can't do that again. Then there would be 3 team members who won't be agreeing. You understand? So ask the team member to read the minutes of the meeting to stay updated. That's not an option because that is reactive approach. you are informing team members about what you have done in the meeting. So that's not an inclusive approach. So you can eliminate option A. Option B, accept that it's okay if one team member, no, that's what we discussed in the previous question. Any approach that excludes anyone is irrelevant. That shouldn't be the answer. Reschedule the meeting to a time that is mutually agreeable to all team members. No, that they have already done. If they have done something, there is no point of going back and redoing the same thing. So float the meeting agenda ahead of time and seek input from. So this is partially you can include somebody who is not able to join at all. So in order to include them, share what you are going to discuss. And if they have any opinion, any comment they can make, they can provide you the input. Right? So most of the time answer, they look simple and straight, but you have to read between the lines. So they have already done something. There is no point of redoing that. Among the available option, best option that could solve the problem partially or completely is option D. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, so Lala, you have chosen option D. Why?
To set up a one-on-one meeting with the team members, I think you would build a relationship. You would kind of strengthen your, relationship with the team members, so that you can get their trust. I think that's the
Okay.
that's the right way of doing it.
Okay, Francis, you have chosen option C. Why?
I would choose an option C because if you open a virtual open space for session whereby they can interact informally, they can have more conversation and get to know each other as well. They can build a trust, which can solve the problem which they're having in terms of misunderstanding and the trust issues.
All right. Amandeep, you have chosen C.
I feel like when we have a virtual open session, they can interact informally, kind of virtual face-to-face conversations that would help them build more trust between team members. And the question is about strengthening trust. So that's why C, I thought, is the most appropriate.
All right. Felicity, you have chosen option C.
I think I sort of chose C as a process of elimination. B, I think, is going to cause more mistrust. D, I mean, I'm assuming people are already meeting one-on-one and there's misunderstandings that are happening. A seems like the politically correct way to handle things, but I don't know that that necessarily inculcates trust. I think people having time for informal interactions usually helps develop that kind of trust. Like, I think Amandeep was just saying, like kind of that water cooler talk helps people have a personal relationship on which to base their working relationship. So yeah, that's why I went with C.
All right. Mary, you have chosen option B. Why?
Well, I think that feedback is important when it's honest. And then some person maybe can relate more how he communicates. So maybe he can have more clear communication, or he can understand that he is understood in the wrong way, or he can work, to exactly he knows what he needs to address and how he has, to deliver the message. So I think that feedbacks anonymous can work.
All right. Anonymous feedback you will be receiving, but how that would be solving trust problem between two team members. So you get the feedback, let's suppose, from two team members, but how that would solve the trust problem, I think that would not solve trust problem. Maybe you
Yes, but you will know what others think, and informal interactions, they're fine, but again, they don't solve issues, at least in.
Okay, right. Let's look at the problem from another perspective. So suppose you have a trust issues or problem with one of the team members or a couple of team members, and you're giving two options. One is to have an informal discussion, open session, everybody's there. Second, go to that person and have one-on-one discussion, or whatever problems do you have. Which one would you prefer? Or which one do you think could potentially solve the problem, or could have more potential of solving the problem? If you have trust issues with somebody, trust issues could be based on some incidents, some problems, certain behavior patterns. So what do you think? Which could potentially solve the problem if you have trust issues with somebody? Anyone, please.
The one-on-one session.
Why? Now, why virtual options are not right here? Because most of you have chosen C. Anyone who would like to comment?
I was of the understanding that trust issues and misunderstanding may stem from preconceived notions that we have about someone, and from our own personal biases, and an informal session would allow for better relationship building, because it's an informal session where people get to know each other. And if we were to consider option D, if we are encouraging one-on-one meetings, I assume that it would not be very likely that the people who have those issues, since it's the project manager who has highlighted that the issues stem from misunderstanding and trust between the team members, and not the team members themselves. So if the PM was to encourage them, it is not very likely that the team members would seek those one-on-one sessions and seek to solve those problems themselves.
All right, so you're saying like, even if you do that, that would not help.
Yeah, so I thought that the virtual session, it would include everyone, and sometimes it takes you some time to open up to other people. So some people do it rather easily, and then some people take their time.
Have you been involved in
that.
any such session, virtual session, where you talked where you had informal discussion?
Not recently, no.
Anyone. I'm not talking about in person. Have you ever been involved in any virtual open session for informal interaction? Anyone, please. So,
come again, your question once more.
My question is, have you been involved or have you joined any virtual open session for informal interaction?
No.
No, right? So this is something which we normally don't do. So this is not in-person team where you can have team building activity or collective meeting where you have a kind of dinner or some activity where team member can share, right? So coming back to the same point, if you have an opportunity to discuss one-on-one when you have trust issues, so the better option is to discuss the problem with that person directly rather than talking through someone or through an informal way. Whenever you have a problem, whenever you have a trust issue, the best choice is directly approach that person and solve the problem, right? So have one-on-one conversation in such situation would be really helpful. Let's read the explanation, and then if you have any comment, we can talk about that. All right, Chinimis.
Okay, where to go for this? But this question says, you're leading a globally dispersed virtual team. So if they're globally dispersed, how are you supposed to have one-on-one meetings with people who are globally dispersed?
Like virtual one-on-one team, one-on-one meeting. Like it's not.
Oh, virtual one-on-one meetings. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say physical meetings. Yusuf?
Yeah, now one-to-one meeting doesn't mean that all the team members they are going to interact, because it's an individual build, but it doesn't ensure that all the team members they have the same, what we call it, gathering or engagement in the activity. One-to-one, it's like it's a person to person, but it's not a group. So how can one-to-one lead to a group meeting?
Okay, that's a good question. So Yusuf, problem here, if we look at the problem is not that team members, they don't collaborate, they don't cooperate, they don't know each other. It means they have trust issues. They know each other very well. So there are some problems going on, right? You understand?
Yeah.
There are some serious stuff going on. It's not like that team members are new, they are in forming stage and there is a trust. No, it means they are in the business, they are in some serious state. So you cannot solve this problem through informal sessions, and those are virtual. And virtual open session, people won't be discussing those serious problems, right? So they know each other. So the problem is not cooperation or collaboration. If the problem is cooperation or collaboration, then maybe informal session could help. But the problem here is serious. There are trust issues. In order to handle those trust issues, you have to have direct communication, one-on-one communication, where people can talk about those problems. In presence of others, we can't discuss the problem that we have with each other. So in one-on-one settings, we can clearly express our problem. So this is the problem. This is the issue that I have with you. This is my concern. This is what I want to be resolved. If you have any concern, let's resolve it together. So one-on-one interaction encourage resolution of these problems, which are not openly you can discuss, right? So
you are looking for one-to-one crossed. This means each one meet the other one, and if they need to go in a group, they go for a group for the problem.
Yeah, so for example, if problem is solved, if I have a trust problem with you and if I discuss with you, I have solved it and most of the team members do that, it means you are improving the overall dynamics of the team, right?
I see.
But the option which is C, that is not the right option. As I asked you, have you done that? We don't do that. This is not practical. We have never done that. So option C is incorrect.
Okay.
All right. No more comment. Last question. All right. So Lala, you have chosen option C. Why?
So I think this question comes to a personal preference, to be honest. Like if you have two options of if both remote, one is in, and inside the country and one is abroad, like it's wherever you're happy, you're going to be more productive, right? So if you're not happy, you're not going to be productive. So I think that's personal preference.
But what about the culture or choices of the other company? If they're not comfortable with remote collaboration or they're not good at it, then what? Would you be just looking for your personal
It
preference?
doesn't say that. It doesn't say on the question that the other company doesn't prefer the virtual. It doesn't say in the question though.
That's a good question, a good point. But it also doesn't say they are comfortable in or their culture is virtual and they just work in virtual. It's just, it's a company that is in different city or country. For that, you need to do virtual collaboration. So if you read the question, it says you're deciding between a collaboration between ABC and XYZ. You need to choose one.
So D is definitely, you cross it out. The remote company offers services cheaper rates. So that you can eliminate it. I don't think makes sense.
Correct.
The remote company has significant better reputation. How do we know that this company has a better reputation, right? It doesn't say anything about it.
Okay.
The remote, yeah, it doesn't mean if a company is remote, they have a better reputation. So that could easily be crossed out also. And then the only one I would see is like A could be kind of correct because which is, that's what happened after COVID-19, where a lot of, companies adapt the remote culture and make it more flexible for people. So
So
either
for
A
example,
or C.
Okay, let's put this question this way. You have two companies, A and B. Company A is in your own city. Company B is in another city, right? So for B, you need remote collaboration. For A, you can do in-person collaboration. So you're just choosing company B, which is in another city because you're comfortable, post-COVID companies can work remotely. Is that the only reason for which you will be selecting company B? If that is the reason why you're not choosing the in-person company, what's the problem? You understand? So option A can be eliminated. So you have two companies. You're not just choosing company that is in which you have to do remote collaboration just because post-COVID-19 companies are efficient in remote collaboration. If that is the reason, then go for in-person. That is better, okay? So option A can be eliminated. Option B, the remote company has a significantly better reputation. It is written in the question. So we should believe it, right? We are not assuming. It's written in the question. You have a company A, you have a company B. Company B has a better reputation in terms of quality, in terms of product delivery. So should it be the reason for selecting company B over company A, despite you have to do remote collaboration? This could be a question. Let's read the third one. Your personal working style. It's your personal working style, not the company's working style. There should be an alignment. Maybe you are comfortable, they're not good at it. So your personal preference, personal choices should not determine the overall dynamics. It should be a holistic approach, comprehensive approach, having all the stakeholders in consideration, not just your own self-interest. The remote company offers their services at cheaper rates. Is it the only reason just because somebody is providing services at cheaper rates, so just go for it? I think we don't do that. Sometimes we go for it, sometimes we don't go for it. So the only reason that could be right in this situation, that could force you to go for company B because they are providing better product. You understand, everybody? Let's read the explanation. All right, I hope it is clear. Questions are slightly difficult, but you need to give more time when you read question. I know I'm giving you less time as compared to real exam. In real exam, you will be having around 80 seconds to respond to a question, 75, 80 seconds. But here, I ask you to answer in 60 seconds quickly. Read between the lines, read carefully. You'll see a lot of such questions in the exam. So most of the students, they say apparently questions look easier in the exam. They think like they're going to pass the exam, right? But when they see the result is entirely different. Why? Because they quickly read the question and they don't go in detail. They don't find the problem. So look for problem in the question. There would be a lot of distracting information in the question. In these questions, there is less material that distracts, okay? Intentionally, we do not add content or words that distracts you. But in the real exam, you will see more information that would be distracting. So in that situation, look for the problem, try to find out the option that could potentially solve the problem. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I hope you have learned from today's lesson. See you on Wednesday with another topic that would be relevant to people domain. I'm repeating it again and again. Agile and people domain are very important from exam perspective. Don't worry if you're getting 4, 5, or 6 in these mock exams, because this is not evaluation. This is a learning process. With every question, you learn a new concept, right? So don't get disheartened if you get less time. So same time, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So time is same. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I can see some of you are saying 7 correct. So number could vary, right? Sometime, your luck works. Sometime you're in the right mindset. Sometime you're not. So numbers do not matter, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. See you on Wednesday. Take care.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Amar.
Thank you, Amar.